Will you join me in this morning's call to worship? We gather this morning to find joy and comfort in one another, come, let us worship together.
Dear members and friends, welcome. This is Birmingham Unitarian Church. It's good to be together again. Whether you're joining us here in the sanctuary or remotely via Zoom or watching this recording later, it's good to connect with you. As a multi-platform church, it's important for us to build a bridge between online and in-person participants. So we're calling this connection opportunity Greeting Our Virtual Neighbors. First, we'll project the image of folks who are currently on Zoom up here, above my head, on our screen, and ask them to turn their cameras on and give us a wave. So please, now. And then we ask you to give them an applause for their being here with us. Whenever and however we connect with BUC, we are building BUC at home, on campus, in the world. Every day, we are building Birmingham Unitarian Church, and we are building through it our beloved community. We join with other Unitarian Universalists around the world as we light our chalice. We are connected with small groups meeting in members' living rooms. We are connected with those who are meeting in rented facilities. We are connected with those congregations that are meeting in sanctuaries. Yes, we are all connected with each other. And now please join in singing hymn number 1046 in the Teal Hymnal. Please rise in body and spirit, and we sing together.
Shall we gather at the river where bright angels' feet have trod, with its crystal tide forever flowing by the
That's one of those hymns that could easily turn into a death march. Thank you so much for pepping that up. So our worship service today is centered on the theme of Shall We Gather at the River. I have to confess, I actually did not know that that was in our hymnal, and I'm really glad that we pulled it out. I want you to think about it like this, though. This is how I meant it. Shall we gather at the river? With like 5 question marks, because that's how the world feels a little bit, right? The church experience has changed rapidly in the last 3 years. Possibly more change has happened in these past 3 years than any other 3-year period of this specific church and possibly our wider association. The change was foisted upon us when we went virtual in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. As we adapted to meet the needs of the crisis, we found major benefits of being able to stay together virtually. Virtual gathering has been a major boon for our congregation, but it comes with its own challenges. Now that many of us are comfortable gathering in person, we are left with questions of inclusivity and identity. What does it mean to be a church in a multi-platform age? And what does it mean together if we are not together?
Each of us has a fire burning deep within ourselves. Our passions, our hopes, our desires all fuel the flame within us, driving us to do the things that give our lives purpose and meaning. For me, I am literally warmed by helping others find connections to the natural world and making sense of what they believe to be true. It fills me with great joy and light to witness those aha moments, even more so when I am there to help facilitate it. Despite everything that brings us warmth and light, life is hard. Life has been especially hard lately for all of us. Our capacities have been tested and stretched beyond what anyone could have imagined. Sometimes it might feel like we are drowning under all of the unseen pressures we are facing or the traumas that we're still healing from. Stress, anxiety, insecurity, inadequacy, loss, exhaustion, COVID, life is hard. Sometimes we lose our spark, and then we are left running on fumes. We know this isn't sustainable, and sometimes we get trapped in a cycle of hopelessness and despair. But we must remember that there is hope, and there is still a way to rekindle that flame. Sometimes we just need a little help. It's amazing. It's amazing the impact that a simple exchange of words of kindness can have. Sending someone an email, a text, or letter, letting them know that you're thinking of them, bringing someone some baked goods, or sharing a laugh. Sometimes all we need is to sit with someone who can shoulder some of the load that we have on our hearts, holding space for those that need to be vulnerable. These simple acts of kindness, connection, and community are just like the sticks and twigs that are used to kindle a fire, or, in this case, the butane in this lighter. The flame within us relies on kindness as its fuel, and it is why we are drawn toward this community. But it should also be noted that oxygen is vital to a flame's survival. So everyone, take a deep breath in and breathe out. As members of the BUC community, we are comforted knowing that there is a space for us to rekindle our flame. We can gather together, both near and far, through touch and through pixels, to spread joy and kindness, to liven those kindred spirits you've come to know, and to help build those who need kindness most. We've learned a lot about connection over the past couple years, and we know that connection doesn't just happen within the walls of BUC. This community is so much bigger than this building. This community transcends the physical space we embody. We are capable of connecting with others regardless of the setting we find ourselves in a way we couldn't have imagined even 5 or 10 years ago. Throughout the pandemic, we found ways to stay connected when we could not be present in the same physical space. And we will continue to explore the ways that we can gather as a community regardless of setting. Because the flaming chalice that is BUC burns brighter from our love for one another and lights the way even through the darkest of days. At this time, our K through 5th grade students will join their teachers at the back of the sanctuary and then head out to their classrooms.
For you shall go out in joy, for you shall go out in joy, and come back in peace, and come back in peace. Blessed be, for you shall go out in joy, for you shall go out in joy, and come back in peace, and come back in peace. Blessed be.
The mission of Birmingham Unitarian Church is to be a free and welcoming religious community that encourages lives of integrity, learning, service, and joy. One way we live out this mission is by giving our weekly, or half of our weekly offering to a nonprofit organization that shares our values and addresses the needs in one of these areas: environmental action, economic justice, civic engagement, racial justice. We support a new organization each month. This month's recipient is one of our cherished longtime projects: support of Walt Whitman Elementary School in Pontiac. We foster learning for kindergarten through 5th grade students by stocking and operating a mobile library in the school, tutoring, and by other programs that help students learn and feel supported by the community. Your offering will be used to buy books for the library and supplies for our own programs. So let there be an offering in support of our beloved community and the organizations that build the world we dream about. This morning's offering will now be received with gratitude, and the ushers will please come forward. We're a church of open minds, of loving hearts, and helping hands. With gratitude, we dedicate this offering to the good works of our congregation, and we dedicate ourselves to its service.
Tell Shannon no more water is allowed in here. It's a brand new pulpit. We've come to the time in our service that we set aside for prayer and centering. We start with a sharing of joys and sorrows. First, we have a joy from Ann Troop. Ann says, last weekend, I was in Rhode Island helping celebrate the 100th birthday of my brother-in-law. He was a veteran of World War II. He served on a submarine in the Pacific. He's still healthy and very active. We also have a joy from Marilyn Kelly. Marilyn says, I've been nominated for re-election to the Board of Governors at Wayne State University. And she says that she'll be on the ballot statewide on November 8th, and she asks for your good wishes. And we know that there are also joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts that were not shared today. I invite you now to join me in a spirit of prayer and centering. We gather as a community of people doing their best to understand what it is to be human. We gather on Sunday mornings in our building, online, to ask big questions. We gather in many ways, small groups, pairs, big gatherings. Life is full of uncertainty, and the only meaning that it has is the meaning that we can put to it. We cannot do this alone. And so we come together to support one another in that journey. We bring with us our hurts, our brokenness. We bring our triumphs and our victories. And together we learn to accept the frailties and the failings of being human and to celebrate the things that make us great. As we come together, may we have patience, love, and forbearance for each other. May we have the courage to be vulnerable, and may we have the spirit of curiosity to keep trying. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
The Unitarian Universalist Association's Worship Web brings to mind a poem entitled Pandemic by Reverend Lynn Unger. When I looked at it a few days ago, I found one version of it that has a heading that reads this way: Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. Pandemic. What if you thought of it in the same way as the Jews considered the Sabbath? Their most sacred of times. Cease from travel. Cease from buying and selling. Give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch. Only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny that now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has become clear. Oh, do not reach out your hands. Reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Oh, promise, 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 promise this world your love. For better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live.
Second reading today is an excerpt from Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown. She speaks in first person. I know a lot of people, myself included, who feel guilt and even shame about their own moments of joy. How can I play on this gorgeous beach with my family while there are people who have no home or safety? Why am I working so hard to decorate my son's birthday cake to look like Despicable Me minions when there are Syrian children who are starving to death? What difference do these stupid cupcakes really make? They matter because joy matters. Whether you're a full-time activist or a volunteer at your mosque or your local soup kitchen, most of us are showing up to ensure that people's basic needs are met and their civil rights are upheld. But we're also working to make sure that everyone gets to experience what brings meaning to life: love, belonging, joy. These are essential, irreducible needs for all of us, and we can't give people what we don't have. We can't fight for what is not in our hearts. Again, the key to joy is practicing gratitude. I've interviewed people who have survived serious trauma, ranging from the loss of a child to genocide. What I've heard over and over from 15 years of hearing and holding their stories is like this: when you are grateful for what you have, I know that you understand the magnitude of what I have lost. I've also learned that the more we diminish our own pain or rank it compared to what others have survived, the less empathetic we are to everyone. That when we surrender our own joy to make those in pain feel less alone, or to make ourselves feel less guilty or seem more committed, we deplete ourselves of what it takes to feel fully alive and fueled by purpose. And sometimes, when we can't acknowledge the pain of others while experiencing our own joy, we close our eyes, insulate ourselves, pretend that there's nothing that we can do to make things better, and opt out of helping others. This ability to opt out of suffering and injustice, or to pretend everything is okay, is the core of privilege. Today, I choose not to acknowledge what's happening around because to me it's too hard. The goal is to get to a place where we can think, I'm aware of what's happening, the part that I play, how I can make it better. And that doesn't mean that I have to deny the joy in my own life.
Call on me, I call to you. Reach for me, I'll be the one you can hold on to. And it's you I see, and it's you I believe in, and it's you and me. Together we are. Join me. Together we are stronger, stronger. Together we are stronger, stronger. Together we are. We are going tonight, tonight. 'Cause we pull down the stars from the sky. And I'm forever in love with the way we are together. We are stronger. stronger. Tell each other, together we are stronger, stronger. Together we are, together we are, together we are.
All right, I'm going to say something that I hope that you can accept with a spirit of grace and gratitude and not make fun of me. I really love church. I do. I know that might seem obvious or simple coming from me, but I do. I love church. Yeah, right? Church nerds unite. But I love church for a lot of reasons, a lot of them. But the biggest is the power that church has to change lives, to transform us from a collection of random, surly, not all of you, some of you, surly individuals into a community with purpose and vision. That is holy. That is sacred. Where else do you get to see the brokenhearted find the strength and the support to start pulling their life back together again? And watch a reliably grumpy person lose that hard exterior when a kid gives a testimony about the power of sharing. And you watch the timid person grow in grace and courage until they become a committee chair or join the choir. The everyday ordinances of splitting a donut with someone that you don't know or maybe you don't like, and that shared delight over that baby that screeches right in the middle of a prayer. What we do in church and what church does to us is no less than a miracle. And church got really hard over the last couple of years, but we kept on. And if you're one of the people who stepped away and you're back now, I'm full of nothing but gratitude that you've come back. And if you're a person who's new here, I'm full of gratitude that you think we're worth a try. And if you've been here this whole time, I'm full of gratitude that you're still here. A church is not an idea or a theological experiment. It is a lived reality, the stuff of life. It is not a building, as we learned. It is a collection of people. And those people, us, are just trying to get along with each other and make the world a little bit better. We have theology and a building / Zoom in the service of the deeper work of being human together out loud in public. The church has always been that, and it will, I think, always be that, but it's different. And it will never be exactly the same. And I have so much grief for my ideas of what church is supposed to be. But that grief is surpassed by my curiosity of what church can be, what church will be. Nothing is really lost except my own expectations, which hurts. When we have things, when things just don't go the way we want, it hurts, and that's real. It can be intense. That loss is true. But we can't let that get in the way of accepting what is and finding the deep value and the potential of the actual moment. I will take a reality full of possibility over wasting time in my sadness about what never really was anyway. And the reality is that we are a multi-platform church and we don't really know what that means. And I think we need to be honest about it. For now, it means that we are a church that is based on the campus, that we're doing our best to be inclusive of people who want to join us remotely. It means we're trying to adapt our existing programming and a familiar worship style to be interesting or at least accessible online. It means that we're learning a lot, which is a nice way of saying we're making a lot of mistakes and learning from them at the same time, but we have so many questions to answer. Can you join BUC if you've never been in the building? I think, yeah, but we don't know how, right? There's a lot of things that we have to figure out. One phrase that's been used a lot over the past several years is building the plane while flying it. And we've built a pretty good plane here. We have. But now we're trying to shift out of the response mode of, oh no, how are we going to do something for the people online, to, hey, you know what would be really cool and interesting for everybody in person and online? There are obstacles and there are advantages to reaching that mindset. If we can overcome or tolerate the surprises of technology, if we can all get more comfortable with it, if we can release our attachment to outcome and what it's supposed to be like, we can do church in a way that meets the needs and the demands of our time. And those demands are steep. We need ways to connect that are flexible. We need choices. If you wake up on a Sunday morning with the sniffles, please do not come here. On those days, you will need to be able to join the church service online and have it feel just as transformative as it might have had you attended in person. When the roads get icy, you need to be able to join a committee meeting and have it be just as productive and relationship building as it would have, and I am sorry to take away the classic excuse for not going to committee meetings. Sorry, it's got to be the dog ate the Wi-Fi. I don't know what to tell you. And I want to be really clear that the impulse to offer things in a multi-platform format is not a desperate attempt to get people to come to stuff. That's not it. It is a desperate attempt to give people the opportunity to come. This is a subtle difference, but it's important. We don't need people to log on to BUC so that BUC can keep BUCing. The purpose here is not the preservation of the institution. People need to log on to BUC so that BUC can be a part of your lives. Because BUC has the potential to transform lives. What we do here is important and it is valuable. And we can't let things stand in the way of you having access to that. I want that to be available to everyone, no matter where they are physically. And by offering this choice, we can maintain a relationship with someone who otherwise may not be able to participate at all. Unitarian Universalism is relational in nature. We put each other's well-being first. That means that we respect each other's decisions about being on-site or online. We trust that everyone knows what's best for them. We are a people of covenant. We make promises to each other about how we will be and what we will do in the world. What we're doing here has the potential to change lives. This is a place of healing through the power of human relationships. And we need that. We need that. We have always needed to be healed through the power of healthy human relationships, but we really, really, really need it right now. What we've been through over the past several years has left us traumatized, and I mean that literally, traumatized and anxious. Our nervous systems are on fire from constantly trying to process an onslaught of information, life and death information, political outrage, existential reckoning with the climate crisis. It's too much bad news to manage. There's so much to cope with and not enough coping skills to go around. All of the deep breathing and positive affirmations in the world are not enough to offset what it is to be human in this moment. We need each other. This is collective, real, serious trauma. Co-emotional regulation is what heals that. And I'm convinced that one of the strongest remedies, best ways of getting that co-emotional regulation is being together. As we saw in our Time for All Ages today, there are sufficient environmental factors that prevent us from lighting up the way that we want to, the way that we're meant to, the way we need to. We're designed to be excited and inspired. That's what it is to be human. But man, has it been hard to get lit up. right? I don't know about you, but for however long, I feel like I'm making up my mind, okay, I'm gonna get lit up, and I do the work, I'm gonna get excited, and then whoosh, more water, right? And when I do get lit up, it feels like maybe I shouldn't be. The world is so hard for so many people. How many times have people asked me, so I heard you had COVID? And I said, it was just a little bit of COVID, right? It's ridiculous. It can feel like, who am I to be lit up and happy about something, or to even be functionally okay in the midst of all of this suffering? It can feel wrong to feel joyful in the midst of such pain. But I believe Brene Brown. I do. Brene Brown is a qualitative researcher in the field of social work. If you're not familiar with her, she has a knack for interpreting the findings of her research to make it compelling and accessible to the general public. She's warm, she's funny, she's whip smart. She has a great Houston accent. Makes all of her mine is not a Houston accent. She has a great, but it makes it fun to listen to her. At least I find it very soothing. And the excerpt that I shared today was from Braving the Wilderness, a 2017 book about the search for true belonging. And I imagine in this year of reconnection and rebuilding, we will hear from this text again. We have all been through something awful. We are still going through something awful. And the degree of awfulness varies among us. In this year of promise and hope, we will have to acknowledge the awfulness but not get stuck in it. It's time to give ourselves permission to light up and to take steps to help each other light up. As Brene Brown says, love, belonging, and joy are what bring meaning to life. These are the fruits of healthy human relationships, the gifts of true belonging. The first step to true belonging is coming in the door, logging on, but it takes more than that. True belonging comes when we feel authentically connected to people and to the institution. That means building relationships through trust, through vulnerability, self-differentiation. And there are a lot of ways that that can happen. Your church staff team, lay leaders, and I have all been racking our brains to come up with programming that we expect will build healthy relationships. I feel pretty good about it. I think we have a very promising lineup, but you need to show up. We did this part, now you come do that part. Show up and be open. Those are two different things, and they come with varying degrees of difficulty. Showing up, being open. The thing about those two lighters that Shannon showed us earlier is they have to be close enough to each other for the flame to catch. Love, joy, and belonging are the result of healthy human relationships, and they are amplified in the context of such relationships, created and reaffirmed by. But only if you're close enough, and that's where the metaphor wears thin, because closeness is just not physical. Love, joy, and belonging can be shared through the power of modern technology if we're willing to use it and have a tolerance for things that don't go according to plan. I was in 2 multi-platform meetings on campus this week with a microphone that we will say is shy. It was a challenge. We've all had an experience of being on a Zoom call that is disrupted by less than great Wi-Fi on our part or the part of someone else. There's always that guy who is on mute while talking. It's me, I'm that guy. I hope that we can meet these issues with a sense of humor and generosity. Multi-platform meetings and worship services have the potential to pass that flame of love, joy, and belonging. We don't need to pour more water on the lighter by getting bent out of shape when tech glitches happen or minor inconveniences pop up. So, in answer to the question, shall we gather at the river? The answer is yes. Yes, we shall. It is a resounding, enthusiastic, life-changing yes. I don't know, beloved, I don't know what church is going to look like in 3 years. Honestly, I hate to say it, but I don't know what it's going to look like in 3 months. But I know that we'll figure it out. The container is not the important part, it's what's inside, and what's inside is us. We need each other to amplify the experiences of love, joy, and belonging that give meaning to life, and also to share the weight of all the other stuff. We are still together. We're still us, no matter how we meet. May it be so.
Please rise in body and or spirit and join in singing our final hymn for today, Answering the Call of Love. The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we find. As hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning. A bright new day. When love will not divide. Reflections of grace. In every embrace. Fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering love. We are answering the call of love.
Go now into this world as a beacon of hope and joy. Go in love, go in peace. Now that our worship has ended, our service begins. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. Wow, that's a fancy move.